Welcome to Motoroids, guys. My name is Amit and this is the 2022 Skoda Kodiaq, the car that has been much loved, a big SUV from Skoda, very polished, very refined, was not around for some time because the BS6 variant was not available, but now it's back with a 2-liter TSI engine, 190 PS of peak power. It's produced between 4,200 and 6,000 RPM and peak torque of 320 Newton meters produced between 1,500 and 4,100 RPM. Now, those numbers can propel this car from 0 to 100 in less than 8 seconds, which is pretty damn quick for such a big car, which is a 7-seater. Now, this car was always very refined. It was always supposed to be one of the best family SUVs, although slightly on the expensive side, but there was no doubting its on-road manners and the comfort and the polish that it offered. And I'm very happy to report that hardly anything has changed in that aspect. This is still as likable as it always was. The moment you get behind the steering wheel of this car, the solid feel from the steering, that heaviness, it does let you know about the German genesis of this car. The roots of this car are shared with Volkswagen Group cars, and this is a phenomenally well engineered car, and it's very evident the moment this car rolls on from a standstill. Now, that engine is mated to an equally capable DSG, and the power here, as you can see here with the 4x4 emblem, is transmitted to all the 4 wheels, so it is a capable soft roader as well. And in terms of its on-road prowess, there is absolutely no doubting it. Whether it's the feedback and the precision of the steering, the beautiful ride quality which just absorbs whatever comes its way, its poise on the road, there is hardly anything you can fault this car with. And when it comes to its off-roading or soft-roading capability, it can get you out of some tricky situations, but it's clearly not a proper off-roader, so that is something that you have to keep in mind. However, for the most part, it can take you to some adventures, and if you are going off the road to reach some vantage points, this will just do fine. Now, apart from that, something that you guys are generally interested in is the fuel efficiency, and as I've always mentioned, Volkswagen Group TSI engines are some of the most fuel efficient petrol engines, turbocharged petrol engines, which are there on the market right now. And while the fuel efficiency has not been mentioned, I tested it, and within the city also you can easily get 9 to 10 kmpl if you're not driving in a stupid manner. If you drive it with a light right foot, you can get 9 to 10 kmpl within the city, and on the highway, if you're driving gingerly, if you're not driving too hard, you can get 14 to 15 kmpl. So the fuel efficiency here is something really good for such a huge SUV. And in fact, I was driving the Mahindra XUV Petrol 80 a few days ago, and the fuel efficiency there was not something to write home about at all. So this car definitely is something which you should look forward to if you're looking for a petrol car with automatic and don't want to compromise in terms of fuel efficiency. So that is something that is really appreciable. Apart from that, all the beautiful Skoda qualities like insulation, there is absolutely no wind coming in even at higher speeds. Even if you go northwards from 100, quite a bit, there's no wind noise coming in. There is absolutely no ambient noise coming in. So in terms of refinement, in terms of the engine response, all of that is really phenomenal. If you are in manual mode, you can rev the engine all the way to 6,200 RPM, from where the rev needle comes back again. And if you're in sport mode, it goes all the way to 5,800 RPM. The red line is at 6,000 RPM, and this engine is creamy smooth. It doesn't resist revving at all and goes all the way to its red line without any resistance. So generally, to be very honest, I really don't have any problems whatsoever with the powertrain or the way this car is engineered. It's spot on. You hardly can ever get it any better for a family SUV. A few things that I want to mention here. ADAS is getting more and more prevalent now, and even a lot less expensive cars are also offering it. So in that context, although you do have park assist here, however, to have lane keep assist and other such more advanced ADAS features on this car would have been really welcome. I miss that. It's an expensive car. It's not something very inexpensive or cheap, so I would have really appreciated had those features been there. And all the premium car makers need to take note that mainstream Indian car makers are offering all of those features now on their less expensive cars, so it's not an option anymore for them to not offer these features. Apart from that, I really believe that this car is one of the most refined, one of the most sophisticated cars you can buy for your family. Very comfortable, very fuel efficient, and it just reflects the amount of engineering that has gone into the making of these cars. I absolutely love it. So that was about the performance of the car, but in terms of its size, it is quite unique, because if you compare it with full-fledged, full-blown big SUVs like say the Gloucester or the Endeavour, which is not there anymore now, but the Fortuner also, or even the XUV 700, this car is not as long or have as long a wheelbase as some of the other bigger cars that I talked about. But if you compare it with its brethren, which is a 5-seater, that is the Tiguan from the Volkswagen group, this car is slightly longer, it has a longer wheelbase, it is wider, and it's generally bigger. By how much? It's a whopping 190 mm longer than the Tiguan, 43 mm wider, 20 mm taller, and it has 112 mm longer wheelbase as compared to the Tiguan. So it's quite unique in terms of its size, and the space is very well managed, and it looks like nothing else because it's very sophisticated. One of the most urbane SUVs on sale in India right now, and if you're someone who is going to be traveling with family primarily on the road, it's very sophisticated looking. The familiar Skoda grille is there, and a lot of technology has also been introduced. First and foremost, these lights are very special, and these eyelashes that you see here get illuminated in the dark, and they look very beautiful. This entire LED system is extremely high-end, and it works like a charm. This light here is the high beam, this is the low beam, and inside you have fog lamp and other elements, and it is quite an advanced system. You also have these washers for the headlamps, which is quite a premium feature, and you also get a 360-degree camera with 3D view, so that's also amazing. You have front parking sensors, and you also have these air curtains to reduce the turbulence around the tires. So it's not just beautiful looking, it's also very functional. Now you have 3 variants here. You have the basic style variant, you have Sportline, and you have this top of the line Laurin and Clement variant, where I personally like the Sportline variant also because it's on the sportier side. It has those sporty dark elements, the interior is also dark, and the wheels on all 3 variants are different, although all of them are 18 inches, but the styling on all 3 of them is different. So the base variant gets silver wheels, and the Sportline gets a different shade of diamond cut wheels, and this one right here is as you see it. Now the tires here are 235 section 55 profile, which is a medium profile, and they are Marcus rubber from MRF. Very grippy, no complaints whatsoever. You get this Laurin and Clement emblem on the fender, and if you look at it, the side view is as it was before. There are no major changes. One very interesting thing is that the ground clearance here is massive, and unladen it's 192 mm, and it's more than sufficient if you want to go off the road and find some new places to explore. You have a panoramic sunroof here. These roof rails look quite nice, and the greenhouse area is really huge, making the interiors very airy and allowing light to come in. An interesting part here is this big window for the third row, which prevents the occupants from feeling claustrophobic, because the third row here is not the biggest. 58 liters of fuel tank, and the lighting here all around is full LED. There are no bulb elements. Blinkers here are swipe out, so that again is a fantastic feature. All in all, there is absolutely nothing that you want to complain about this car. It's not very flashy, it's very understated, and it looks just the part. Understated elegance with some brawn, and I really like what Skoda have done with this car. You have this 360-degree camera unit capturing the rear end of the affairs, and you have wing mirrors with cameras as well. Another good part is that the tail gate is electrically operated, which is a great convenience, and the boot space here is 270 liters with all 3 rows up. Lift the boot floor, and you'll have this parcel tray tucked away, so when you bring down the third row, you can put the parcel tray in place. And in case you're wondering where the spare is, here it is. It's a space saver, and it's not meant to do full duties. The speed would be restricted to 80 kilometers per hour, so that's a bit of a bummer. Now you also have these 2 hooks, and shared with the third row passengers is this 12-volt power socket. You have these 2 illumination units, and these secret compartments. One of them is a first aid kit compartment, and the other one here is an additional storage in case you want to store some knickknacks. You can use these levers here to put the third row down and bring them back up again using these straps here. They're 50-50 split, and they come with adjustable headrests as well. If you put both the rows down, you get 2005 liters of space, which is enormous, and you can really travel with a lot of stuff if you have to. Now before we get inside the car, let's see something interesting. And under the bumper you have this chrome lining, and it forms 4 exhausts on both the sides. But this car actually comes with twin exhausts, and you go under the bumper and you can see 2 exhausts on both the sides. Now the key is the very familiar Skoda Kodiaq key, and it has lock, unlock and boot release buttons, and you won't really have to take it out of your pocket. Just yank the door handle and get inside, and you would be welcomed by some of the most tastefully done interiors on this car. And the driver's seat also is very well appointed. Not just is the fore and aft and recline angle seat height adjustment electrically adjustable, but it also comes with this lumbar adjustment, which is electrically adjustable. It also comes with a 3-way memory, and the door panel also is beautifully done. It's got very high quality soft to touch materials on top, this leather material on the side, rubberized material for the parts where you're going to touch your elbows to the panel with, and only the lower part is hard plastic. You have the boot release button here. Interestingly, you also get heated mirrors, and all the windows are one touch up and down. You also get a high quality Kenton audio system, which is par for course. I won't really say that it's fantastic or outstanding, but it is par for course and it sounds rather nice. The interior on this car generally has these inlays of piano black, and it's been really tastefully done. The door panel also gets this soft to touch material, and there is enough space for a 1.5 liter water bottle. On the driver's side, you get an umbrella holder with an umbrella. You'll get that slot on the passenger side as well, but not with an umbrella. In the night, when you open the door, you'll also get the Skoda projection on the floor. Now let's get inside the car and see what all features we have there. And this little light that you see here also projects light onto the floor and adds additionally to illuminate the ground as a puddle lamp. Now for an SUV, the seat height is really good, even if you're not too tall. For the shorter people amongst you or for the elderly, getting inside is a breeze, and it's just about right. Unlike some other SUVs where you really have to clamber on, you just have to step inside, and that's such a relief. You have a dead pedal there, and the pedals themselves are done in steel with rubber grips. You have this driver side storage compartment, and the steering here is a 2-spoke unit, and you get this 12.3-inch virtual cockpit here, which is fully customizable. Although I would say that this is a little confusing for me personally. These buttons, I really took a lot of time understanding how they function. Generally Skoda controls are very simple, but this time around I found them a little confusing, and a lot of things cannot be directly controlled from here, and you'll have to go to the infotainment screen right there in the middle to do some things like resetting the efficiency numbers or the drive data. So all of that should have been a little bit more simplified, and according to me personally, this menu could have been a little bit more intuitive. These controls could have been a little bit more intuitive. Although there is no doubt that this steering looks very beautiful, and this leather wrapped steering wheel with this Lorraine and Clement lettering at the bottom does look beautiful. Let's see what we have here on the infotainment side. And now to start off, this Canton infotainment system that we have here is as I mentioned, par for course, but not outstanding. And you can hear the treble slightly more than what you would like, and the clarity also in the top of the volume range is not as good as I would have expected. So quite a good system, but not for the real audiophile. Now this 8-inch screen here is quite responsive to the touch, and it also is responsive to gestures. So when you bring your hand closer, some sub menus come up, like as you can see here, and you can also use gestures like this to change tracks or radio stations as well while you're in the media section of the screen while the songs are playing. You have navigation here, and you also get a 10-color ambient lighting, which is great. All-weather lighting with the automatic headlamps and rain sensing wipers. You also get this off-road button where the car doesn't essentially do anything, but it lets you know a lot of things, where you get the altitude, the direction that you're going in the form of a compass, and you also get the engine temperature. It doesn't do much, but it lets you know about what the status of your car is. Now from here you can change the view of your virtual cockpit, and you can also have a look at the driving data here as well as the vehicle status. Now, as I mentioned before, if you have to reset this driving data, you'll have to go to the settings, and from there you have to reset the driving data. So I really believe this resetting process could have been a little easier, because I was fiddling around and I was really struggling to find out how to reset the data when I wanted to figure out the fuel efficiency of this car. You also get a driver alert system which helps you understand if you are fatigued and prompts you to take rest. You also have voice commands, but unfortunately this is not as advanced as some of the other systems that we have seen, and the usability of the voice commands on this car is quite limited. Now, a very interesting feature that the Skoda Kodiaq comes with is that you can either ventilate or heat the seats for the front driver and passenger, and it's a great feature to have, and you can use this feature using these two buttons here. The first row is for climate control. This car gets a 3-zone climate control, and this is the flow control. Here you have the buttons for auto start, on and off, parking for parallel or perpendicular parking, and as I mentioned, this car also gets a 360-degree camera. Now, the resolution could definitely have been better, but it does give you a 3D projection, and you can choose which angle you want to look at the car from. Of course, when you put it in reverse, it lets you know what's happening at the rear of the car, and here you can change the modes and the views as per your requirement, and all of that is very useful. However, I really believe that the resolution here could have been a little bit better. This here is the door lock unlock button, and this light comes on if the passenger airbag is off. Now, apart from that, this door here reveals a wireless charging space for the phone. There is a 12-volt power socket, and there are 2 Type-C USB sockets as well. And here you have some controls to get to the off-road screen directly. To turn the traction control off, select the driving modes from Eco, Comfort, Normal, Sport, Individual or Snow. Engage the electronic parking brake or engage the auto hill hold. This armrest here is also quite nifty. It's sliding as well as height adjustable, and you have a lot of space underneath. 2 cup holders are built in, but if you are someone like me who would rather have this extra space, then you can just remove it and then throw in whatever you have. There's enough and more space, and it's really a very convenient and useful cavity. The seats are supremely comfortable. I really love these seats, and on the top of the line LNK variant you get these beige colored perforated seats. On the Sportline variant you get sportier dark seats which have a different headrest as well, and I personally like those seats a little better. You also have this Lauren and Clement embroidery here. The seats are stitched beautifully, and if you look at the dashboard also, it's finished in a very beautiful soft to touch material with contrasting stitching. Piano black material used for inlays for the most part in the dashboard, and if you look at this dashboard, this part comes up to allow for some extra storage on the top. It also comes with an anti-skid kind of dimpled surface so that things don't roll about, and then you also have this really useful space here in the form of a glove box as well. This unit is cooled, so if you have any items which you would want to keep cool, you can put them here. Now, coming to safety, the Skoda Kodiaq boasts of having the largest number of airbags in its segment, and it comes with as many as 9 airbags, including a knee airbag and head airbags as well. And in that department, there is absolutely no other car in this segment that can come close to the Skoda Kodiaq. It also comes with this really beautiful panoramic sunroof which opens all the way back, and there are 2 separate buttons. This one is for the blinds, and this one here is for the glass panel. The lights are operated by buttons, and you can control the rear lighting using this button here. Both driver and passenger side sunshades are equipped with vanity mirrors which are illuminated and quite functional. IRVM is auto dimming, and so is the ORVM. The seats are supremely comfortable. There is enough and more thigh support, and these have to be some of the most comfortable seats this side of rupees 50 lakh rupees. Now, as a part of its active safety suite, it also gets ABS, of course, rollover protection, motor slip regulation and electronic differential locking system, and it's functional up to 30 kilometers per hour. Now you can choose from a variety of views for the instrument console, and this button right here can be used to toggle between all of these views, and it is somewhat like the Audi's virtual cockpit, but this is slightly slower and not quite as high res and fast, but it looks quite neat and well laid out. But I really believe that the navigation could probably have been a little bit better. If I really have to crib, probably the steering wheel could also have been electrically adjustable, but then I guess I'm asking for a little too much. Now, while this car is very well equipped, very tastefully done, very high quality materials, if I really have to crib again, probably something like a blind spot monitoring system could have been introduced. It's not here, but it's available in a lot of other lesser expensive cars. Let's see how much space we have in the second and the third rows, because this car comes with a third row, and a lot of people have a lot of skepticism about how much space does this car have in the third row and whether it's actually usable or not. So let's get to the back of the car now. Unlike the front, this material here is not soft to touch, although the materials here are quite good, and you also get these sun blinds so that you can protect yourself from the sun. You also have a big enough cavity here for a 1.5 liter water bottle. The door opens rather wide and entry is quite easy. The seat is not very high, and even for those who are not very tall, getting inside just like the front is very easy. And these seats are of a sliding type, so you can adjust it for your own comfort, your own space, as well as for allowing for space for the people who are sitting in the third row. You can use this strap here to adjust the recline angle of the seat, which of course is something that enhances your comfort over longer journeys. And these seats are again 40 20 40 split, and in typical Skoda fashion, being simply clever, you have these extensions to the headrests which you can bring down, and while you're traveling long distance and you doze off, your head is not going to bob around. So this is a great feature. It might not look like much, but it can really add a lot of comfort to your journeys. To bring the seat down, you just have to pull this lever and you can bring it down like so. Now, while this side seat moves as a 40 unit, this side moves as a 40-20 unit together. That doesn't mean that this seat is not 40-20-40 split, and the central unit does indeed come down like so, but it moves together like a 60 unit. You also have this big wide armrest, and it's really wide, so the elbows are never going to be rubbing. You have this third zone for climate control, and you can control the temperature as well as the direction of the flow. You can shut the flow altogether. You also have a 12-volt power socket, although there are no USB sockets here. It's quite a tall transmission tunnel, and the person sitting in the middle will have to straddle it for sitting here in the middle. And the middle row here is not contoured, so this is best used only for short to medium journeys, not meant for 3 people sitting abreast. You have ISOFIX child seat mounts here, a dedicated seat belt for the third passenger, a dedicated adjustable headrest for the third passenger. So in terms of comfort, Skoda have tried to do what they could. You have these pockets in the back seat, and there's really nothing much to complain about. You have these reading lights as well, a coat hook. So generally speaking, there is absolutely nothing that I would want to complain about. And knowing how comfortable the ride quality of this car is, I really believe that these are some of the most comfortable seats that you can find within this segment or below. And if you are going to be chauffeur driven, you can definitely go with the Skoda Kodiaq, although there could have been a slightly more under thigh support. I'm not complaining, but it would have really enhanced the comfort had there been slightly longer seat squab. So in terms of insulation, in terms of the ride quality, in terms of space inside, the contouring of the seats and the quality of seats, it's fantastic. But the big question that remains now is how much space do we have in the third row? So let's go there and see whether you can seat an average sized adult there. Now to get inside, all you have to do is pull this lever, and then pull the seat and you have this opening to get inside. You can do this from either side, and then getting inside becomes a breeze. You can pull the seat back again, and while keeping this lever pressed, you can bring the seat all the way back if you so wish. And once you have brought the seat back all the way back, I can tell you there is hardly any space for an adult. So if you want to be sitting here as an adult with this seat back all the way back, you are going to be extremely uncomfortable. This seat is not meant for adults. However, if you can ask the person sitting in front to move the seat a little bit forward, in that case, as you would see, you can still sit without your knees rubbing with the back of the middle row. So these seats are not entirely unusable, best used by kids, but they are not entirely unusable as well. And for adults, they can be used for very short to short journeys. You have these adjustable headrests, you have these reading lights as well, a 12-volt power socket here. There is a cup holder on the left hand side, although it's not there on the right hand side. And another thing that you're missing here is that you don't have any AC vents, so it might just get a little bit warm if the temperature outside is hot. So not a very spacious seat, but maybe usable in emergencies. Now, to be completely honest, there isn't quite another car which is like the Skoda Kodiaq. If you really take it for what it is and the kind of qualities that it offers, the kind of refinement, the kind of urbane, sophisticated, suave facade, and a very, very refined drive that it offers. However, if you want to break out of that mold, if you want to be looking at something else, there are other options as well. If you want to be looking at bigger SUVs, you have the MG Gloster, which is the biggest SUV in this segment. You have the Ford Endeavour, which is quite expensive. The Gloster is quite comparable in terms of its pricing. And if you really want to be going down in the hierarchy in terms of the positioning, the pricing, you have something like the XUV 700 also, which is lower in terms of pricing. But if you go to see, for a mid-spec XUV 700, you'll have 3 of them for the price of this one here. So the choice is entirely yours. However, there is quite nothing like this car which stands here, because it stands for something which none of the other cars that I talked about really have. It's really refined, really, really sophisticated, and it's really evolved in a manner no other car is. The Gloster retails for 32 lakh rupees to 40 lakh rupees. So the lower variant there is less expensive than this, and the higher variant is more expensive than this. But that car has more space, although it's not as refined, but it comes with a lot of ADAS technologies. The Toyota Fortuner and Legender Duo are available for a higher price, although there is a diesel option there. And while you don't have as many features or as much refinement or as good road manners there, but that car really is fantastic in terms of its reliability and its cost of ownership as well as resale value. Now, you also have the Tiguan, which you might want to consider if you want a similar experience, but only with 5 seats. The difference in terms of the performance and the features is not much, so you can also look at that car if you want this kind of an experience in a smaller format. That car is slightly less expensive, but this car right here is from 35 lakh rupees to 37 lakh rupees. So while the base style variant misses out on a lot of features, you can really go with the Sportline variant, which has a lot of features. It misses out on some features which are not very significant, although it has a character of its own and is really sporty. If you're looking for a really premium SUV, something that you can travel with your family around in pride and in comfort, something which offers you good fuel efficiency and fantastic on-road manners with some off-road capability also, the Skoda Kodiaq really is a car which is peerless. There is absolutely nothing which can match this car in terms of its on-road behavior. I really hope that I was able to answer all your questions about the Skoda Kodiaq, the 2022 version of it. And still, if you have any questions, don't think twice before putting them down in the comment section. We would like to answer all your questions. If you like our long format detailed videos, do share them with your friends. Let them know about the effort that we put behind these really detailed videos. And until next time, this is Amit Shangani signing off. Rev hard, rev free, and drive safe.